Hey, how's it going? Mike Marin here, and welcome to this video titled The Upsell Profit Formula. So here's what we will cover in this video. Why upsells? So why do we even have upsells? We're going to cover what bad upsells are, how not to do upsells, good upsells, what makes a good upsell, what makes upsells convert and work in your funnel. We're going to go over full funnel copywriting and how this is different than from just sitting down and writing one sales page. We're going to go over funnel modeling, and then I'm going to give you my upsell formula and basically, step by step teach you how to upsell. So what are upsells? Well, the best way I can describe what an upsell is probably come from the best upsell of all time, which is, would you like fries and Coke with that? That's basically an upsell. An upsell is anything that you make an additional offer after the first purchase is made to increase the transaction size and to give them a chance to upgrade their order, to have more benefit than just their original purchase. So it's like, you go to McDonald's, you get a burger, and they ask, would you like fries and Coke with that? Sure. Right? So these adding upsells, I think one of the biggest reasons why people struggle online is that they don't use upsells. And this was a turning point for me personally when I started using these. So it's the easiest way to increase EPCs, and what's kind of amazing is that even if you do this awful, like terrible, you're usually going to get about 20%, especially not in the internet marketing niche, where internet marketing niche, you might get a little lower than 20% just because the people understand what upsells are. But in other markets where you use upsells, this is going to work extremely, extremely well. And this is usually where you start to make your money. That $9 product, that $47 product usually is just a self-liquidating offer. You're spending either all your money on traffic, or you're giving away most of the money you were going to make with that sale to pay for that affiliate to drive the traffic. So the upsell is really where you start to make money usually. Sometimes, like I still look at the upsells as sort of a self-liquidating offer, just because the more you're able to pay for traffic, the more traffic you could get easier. And also the more you pay for affiliates, the more affiliates you're going to get. But anyway, this is usually where you start to make your profit. So what's a bad upsell? So a lot of people do upsells wrong. And a bad upsell, I see this done all the time, especially in the internet marketing niche, is it makes the regular product incomplete. So you want your upsell to be supplementary but not required. It should be an add-on but not required. What you don't want to do is basically just be like, oh, by the way, what you bought is not complete and you need to buy the upsell to get the complete thing. Like, that's not going to make people happy. They want, after they've made a purchase, they want to think what they bought was the complete thing. And I see this all the time. They think they're pulling one over on the customer, where it's like, all right, you just bought this 5-course video on how to do X, Y, and Z, but really this is not complete. So you don't want to do that. It's going to hurt conversions and it's not going to be good. Next thing you do is, worst case scenario, you can, I guess, here, let me just explain what it is. So a bad upsell is not congruent with the funnel. So this is if what you see is a lot of people, they don't do what we did in the first module, which is full funnel copywriting. What they'll do is they'll just come up with, they'll come up with their regular product and they'll go, okay, what do I have for an upsell? And then they'll pick something at random. That's really not congruent. Again, this can work. Like, worst case scenario, you can do this to raise the EPCs, but if you want a good conversion, you're going to want it to be congruent. And that brings us to the topic of good upsells. So what are good upsells? Upsells should be congruent with the funnel, and they should naturally be an add-on that supports their purchase. So my system for upsells is, I call AS cubed. So it's A and then 4 S's to remember it. So it's A is for automate. So anything that automates what they just bought is really good. So software is templates done for you. A thing that I like to do is, say you're selling a product on fitness, right? You give them all the nutrition stuff. You teach them all the mechanics of the nutrition in the course, but then the upsell would be, here are the done for you meal plans, right? Here are the, in the guide, we give you everything you need to build your own workouts. here are templates that you could print out, take to the gym, fill in. This is your worklet templated. Here is software. In IM, it could be, here is, my course on email marketing, and the upsell would be, here are my personal templates. Here are my done for you templates to use. Here is the software which now automates it. It's called doing it, give them the how to, and then hold back the tools. Great upsell, because you really are playing fair and you're just adding the benefit on for them. Next is speed. So again, anything, it's the first ask. So anything you think can speed up their results. So this could be even, when you're looking at the entire funnel, this could be offering them to work with you one-on-one. This could be anything, like any of the automation ones are speed upsell. The templates are going to speed things up. The done for you stuff is going to speed things up. Any, you just basically want to brainstorm, how can I speed up and get them the result quicker of what they just got? It could be that, hey, you're selling a fitness program, and now how can we speed this up? Well, we could sell them, and I see a lot of guys on ClickBank do this in the fitness market, is sell supplements on the back end and sell them in packages, right? So you get a quick package. Here's a supplement that's going to help your weight loss even faster. Great speed upsell. Next one is scale. Think about any way that you can help them scale out what they just bought. Again, this could be done with software. It could be done with actually, scale is usually like the software, something that helps them get that result quicker. Next is solve. So this is for solve the next problem. So usually when you solve one problem, they're going to have another problem. So, right, you help them make a lot of money. Well, a good example is you help them get traffic, right? The course was one problem, one solution. Now they know how to get traffic. Well, they're going to have a problem now once they have traffic, which is, how do they convert all of this traffic, right? So a great upsell would be, okay, now you got your traffic thing handled. What's the next problem you're going to have? Well, obviously, your next problem is going to be, how do you convert and make the most out of all that traffic? So that it could be, thank you so much for picking up my course on, traffic, and, you made a really smart decision. And I'll show you the upsell formula. But basically go, I know you're going to want this, and if you really want to take things to the next level, you're going to want to know how to make the most out of that traffic. And that's why I want to give you a chance to pick up this XYZ conversion course at a discount. Another thing you could do is and this actually works too, because it really reassures them. It's like, if you sell a course on how to get a girlfriend, the upsell could be, a relationship management course. It kind of assumes that they're going to get the result with the first course. So solve. And the next one is support. How can you support their purchase? So this could be, a one-on-one call, a critique. If you sell a fitness thing, they might maybe get email support now, or 90 days of email coaching, like a lot of the ones on ClickBank. So like the ClickBank dating one, the biggest one, it's the regular product. It's the Tao of Badass. It's like a how-to dating guide. And then the first upsell is 90 days of email support, email coaching. You can ask in any questions, and it's $97. So that's makes a really good upsell. Same thing when I worked with Travis Sago for the Magic of Making Up. His upsell, it was the program was the Magic of Making Up, which was how to get your ex-girlfriend back. And then the upsell was not only an enhancement of the main product, which is now you can get the audiobook, which I guess I don't really have that on here, but it's sort of a speed or an automate one. He gave the audiobook plus 30 to 60 days of an email coaching course that went through the email, and then you got email support. So how can you support them? So these you could use for your first upsell or your second upsell. It could also be additional training with Q&A. It's another option of that support. So speed, solve the next problem, support, automate. So just like an example that, let's say we're doing an internet marketing product, right? We could do a course on email, right? So, easy, how to write email copy, right? Upsell could be the done for you templates on how to write emails So that's the next upsell one. Upsell one is template-based upsell. Upsell two could be 3 additional webinars where we solve the next problem, which is, which we expand, which is the scale. So now you're teaching more stuff. So you're teaching conversion. So a 3-week more advanced training on conversion, which doesn't take away from the main course, but adds 3 weeks of training. And then you have live Q&A on those webinars. So that's the support. So I hope you see how that works. So funnel copywriting. Full funnel copywriting is really it just comes down to a mindset. So what you're always doing is you're always starting with the back to the front. So I call it back to front mapping. So you're starting with the end in mind. So always remember that if you want your upsells to convert, they need to be congruent. So when you start from the back and you go all the way to the front, that's what makes things congruent. So one of the best ways to do it is the long way. So this is where, and I was talking about this in the upsells, is you can kind of plan out how you want things to work by giving them the steps and holding back the tools. So for the fitness one, it would be giving them all of the information, the how-to, and the upsells would be the supplements, the tools, the done for you meal plans, or just additional scaling stuff, which is a full over-the-shoulder videos of you cooking in your kitchen. But when you do it the long way, which is back to front, it makes it congruent. And same thing, if you are wanting to sell like a done for you copywriting service, which is what I did, you would teach them how to do it and hold back the done for you. And what that does is now when they get to the end of the funnel and they want to hire you, you're already an expert because you taught them how to do it the long way in your product and you gave them exactly how to do it, but a percentage is just going to want you to do it for them. You're going to have proved in the course. And it really is amazing. Dan Kennedy was the first one to tell me that, and I started trying it. And you get people asking you to, you don't even have to prospect anymore. Like when I did my video conversion cash machine and my easy email cash system, I still to this day have people reaching out to me asking, can you write copy for me? And that just comes from this back to front mapping, which is what I did for those 2 funnels. So how to upsell. Really, really simple upsell formula. Again, a lot of the stuff that I covered in the copywriting training I gave you goes here. It kind of meshes over to here. So really what I like to do is introduce yourself. So, hey, it's Mike here. And then step 2, congratulate them on their purchase. Thanks so much for picking up the XYZ Ad Builder program. You really made a great decision by picking up this course. And really what you want to do here is thank them. Thank them and tell them basically how smart they are for making that decision. And then then step 3 is suggestion of the next solution. This is the upsell. So, while we're at it, I got something else if you're interested. What I've gone ahead and done is I've created done for you meal plans for the next 18 weeks. And you also get a macronutrient calculator. So that's, here's what I got. This macronutrient calculator and done for you meal plans. And then here's what it's going to do for you. You're going to be able to make meals on the go. You're going to get a grocery list, blah, blah, blah. This is where you just basically, now you have the same thing that we did before, which is you got the components and you got what it's going to do for them, the benefits, explain what it's going to do for them. Then it's simply, here's, so, if you really want to, figure out how to lose your abs fast and blah, 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 then I really think you ought to pick up the done for you meal plans. It's just, I'm charging $47 for it. It's fully guaranteed. Same sort of copywriting. And then here's what I want you to do now. Go ahead, click the add to cart button now, add it to your order. If not, that is cool as well. So that's just a really big, that's kind of the flow. So it's introduce yourself, thank them for the purchase. While we're at it, here's something else if you're interested. Or, I really got to thinking now that, once you have this problem handled, you're going to want to know what to, once you know how to get this floods of traffic, you're probably going to want to know how to get the most out of it. Or now that you know how to build an online business, wouldn't it be cool if you could just outsource a majority of it to, to other people. Well, here's what I got. It's called Outsourcing 101. Inside it, I teach all of my secrets for outsourcing, step-by-step training. This is solving the next problem, and then here's why you need to act now. Here's what to do now. Simple. Here's what I got. Here's what it's going to do for you. Here's why you need to act now. Here's what to do now. So 6 and 7 are really kind of the same. I actually don't know why I wrote that, but anyway, you get the point. So it's really a 6-step formula, but 7 sounds better. So we're going to go at 7. Anyway, so that's it. So quick recap, went over why you upsell, just because, it increases the earnings per click, and it's really where you start to make a profit. We went over bad upsells, how you really don't want to, show that their first purchase was incomplete, or have them feel like they didn't get the full package. Went over good upsells, the AS cubed formula. Went over full funnel copywriting, how it's very important to line everything up and make it congruent. Went over, actually we didn't cover funnel modeling. So funnel modeling is basically if you ever are confused as far as, what do I put in my funnel? What do I do as my upsell? It just simply comes down to going to your top 10 competitors and modeling their funnels. Like, when people don't know what to do as their upsells, it's really because they just haven't done the research. I mean, in any market that I've gone into seriously, I knew my top competitors' entire funnel. So I bought the products on ClickBank, I went through the funnel, and that's how you figure out what to use as your upsells. I mean, there's no real need to reinvent the wheel. So that's funnel modeling. And then last, I covered my 6/7-step formula for how to upsell. So I wanted to keep this video short, but I did wanted to give you the fundamentals of upsell, how to create the upsells and how to do the copywriting for them. So with that said, hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you in the next one.